Good afternoon, boys and girls. This week we have been talking about the moon and moon phases, and yesterday we looked at some Oreo cookies to show us what the moon actually looks like when it goes through its moon phase. And just want to remind you to make sure that you're keeping up with that in your journal. You're going out and looking up every night, and you're writing in your date, and you're coloring in your circle to show exactly what you're seeing when you look up at the moon, and make sure that you're standing in the same place every time you go out and look. And just to remind you that this cycle that the moon takes is about every 27 days. So that's about one time every month that this is happening. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some fun, interesting facts about the moon. And you may be asking, what is the moon? Well, the moon is actually a dusty ball of rock, and it is roughly a quarter of the size of Earth. So think about the size of a nickel, okay? And think of Earth as the size of a nickel, and then think of the moon as the size of a coffee bean. So the nickel and the coffee bean represent the Earth and the moon, and that should give you an idea about the sizes of the two and how they compare with each other. The surface of the moon is filled with mountains, craters, and flat plains, so like flat places, and they're actually called the seas. And inside of these seas is hardened lava. So think about the lava that comes out of a volcano. This lava is hard. So inside of those little places called seas, there is hardened lava. And then the moon shines bright. When we look up, we see a very bright shining moon, but it's actually not the moon that's shining the light. It doesn't produce any light. It's actually reflecting light from the sun. So that's a really cool fact about the moon. And then let's talk about the temperature of the moon. During the day, the moon is very, very hot. It is about 260 degrees Fahrenheit. That is very hot. So think about our hottest day in the summertime, maybe like 95. Sometimes it even gets up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That is very hot. So think about 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. I can't even imagine how hot that is. But then at night, it gets very cold. So think about our coldest day here on Earth, and in our area in particular, maybe 10, 15 degrees. That's very, very cold. Think about negative 243 degrees. I have no idea how cold that is. That's colder than Antarctica. So think about how cold it is there. This is way colder than that. So it gets very hot during the day and very cold at night. And then we have actually had a man land on the moon. His name was Neil Armstrong, and that happened in 1969, and he was on a spacecraft called the Apollo 11, and that was, of course, through our NASA program. And then the Soviet Union actually had a program called the Luna program, and they actually sent a spacecraft up to the moon that did not have any people on it, and that was called an unmanned spacecraft, and that landed in 1966. So we have had some interesting ventures to the moon through our space programs, and we may not be done. You might be the next one if you're interested in being an astronaut. Who knows? One more interesting fact. Earlier I said that there are mountains on the moon, and there is one particular mountain on the moon called Mons Huygens, and this mountain is about half the size of Mount Everest. Mount Everest is a very tall mountain here on Earth, and this mountain on the moon is about half the height of Mount Everest. So that's pretty high for a mountain to be on the moon. And who knew that we had a mountain? Now you know. It's called Månshöjden. And I believe that is all of the facts that I'm going to share with you about the moon. But you can, of course, find lots and lots of books about the moon, and you can go on YouTube and find some fun, interesting videos that tell you more about the moon phases and that give you some other facts about the moon. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something new about the moon, and we'll see you next time.